All right, guys, 1.2, we're going to talk about unit rates. I'll introduce you to that, and then we'll talk about calculating tips per week. So let's get on with it. There's your learning target. We're on section 1.2, and a couple definitions for you. Unit rate's the amount paid per unit. So I used to have a newspaper delivery route when I was in high school. So every time I would deliver a paper, I would get like 5 cents or something like that. It wasn't a ton, but every paper I got 5 cents, 5 cents, 5 cents. So that's considered a unit rate. Tips, I think we talked a lot about this. It's money given for good customer service. So what types of jobs are that? That's like, servers get tips. That's like the most common one, delivery drivers, things like that. So if we're going to find your earnings with unit rate, pretty simple. You take the number of units. So, whatever you're selling, how many did you sell, times your unit rate, and that's going to come up with your earnings. Earnings is just another way to say like your pay or your wage. So in example 1, it says Greg cuts puzzles for a toy manufacturer, and he's paid by the puzzle per unit. So his units are the number of puzzles that he creates. Every time he creates one, he gets 35 cents, and he cuts 615 in a week. So we can calculate this real quick. His earnings, we're going to take the number of units times his unit rate, and that's going to get his total earnings. So 615 times 35 cents gets us his earnings of $215.25. So incentive there is, if you can sell more or create more, whatever it is that you're getting, the more you can do, the more you're going to get paid. So it kind of gives you that hustle mentality. Okay, so let's talk about finding your average income. And this is when there's tips involved. So the first thing we want to do, so this is kind of getting away from the unit rate, but back to like our weekly wage. Some jobs will pay you not only the weekly wage, but also tips on top of that. So you're going to find them separately and then add them together. So weekly wage, we know how to do that. Number of hours times the hourly rate. We did that in section 1.1. Then we're going to find the average weekly tips. So this is like if you look over maybe a 4-week stretch, your tips will be different week to week. But if you're trying to budget, we want to find on average how much are we making in a week, because that's really going to help us figure out how we're going to spend our money. So we're going to do the sum of all tips, which sum is addition. So I put that plus sign up there, and then we'll divide it by the total number of tips. And then last step to put this all together, average weekly earnings. We take that weekly wage that we did in step A, average tips from step B, and that's going to give us our earnings for the week. Or the average earnings in a week. So if we take a look at Molly here, she gets $2.35 per hour waiting on tables. So that seems really low, and it is probably lower than what it is now. These are some old notes, but what you need to remember is if you are in a job like a server where tipping is a main source of your income, the minimum wage laws are a little bit different. So servers' minimum wage is way less than what the standard minimum wage is going to be. So $2.35 per hour waiting tables, and then here's these underlined numbers in blue are 4 different weeks where she earned tips. So that's what she earned in each of those 4 weeks. So she's working 4 hours every night, 6 nights per week. What are her average weekly earnings? So the first thing we need to do here is find her weekly earnings. Not the tip portion, but the weekly earnings from what she makes per hour. Earning again means wage. So total hours is the first part there. 6 times 4 gives me 24 hours in the week for Molly. So we take that 24 hours, multiply it by her rate of 2.35, and we get $56.40 for that portion of her pay. Next thing we want to do is to add up all of her tips for the week, for the different weeks. So she made the 263, 314, 238, and 301. Add those up. All right, so I didn't show that work on the top row, but there it is. You can see that comes out to be $1,117.80. Divide it by 4, and we see that on average she gets $279.45 in a week with tips. So we know her wage in a week, we know her tips in a week. Now the last thing to find her earnings is to add those together. Okay, so let's see. I don't know if I totaled this up. There it is. Okay. So that's a little off center. But you can see 5640 plus 279.45. We get 335.85 for the average earnings in a week. Okay, so example 3, I will let you guys try on your own. It's going to be exactly the same as what we did in example 2. I just don't have this scaffolding laid out for you. But follow that same process, step A, B, and C. And best of luck, guys. Thanks.